Hey y'all, Fred here. Thanks so much for joining me. Today we are going to take a look at this Medford Replica clone knife. So this knife was actually given to the channel for us to give away in our upcoming 2,500 subscriber celebration giveaway. John Emerson, who is also known in our comments here as the 𝗕𝗲𝗵𝗲𝗁, 𝗕𝗲𝗵𝗁, guitar player, rock star, truly a actual real rock star. Although he's a bit laid up right now, he's a friend of the channel, friend of mine. He's kind enough to send me several knives to review and said, listen, you can actually keep this knife and give it away. It is a clone. He didn't pay a lot of money for it. I guess it had some issues. And so he got it taken care of with the company and said, hey, listen, keep that and give it away in your upcoming giveaway to the subscribers. So y'all go down in the comments below and thank John, the 𝗕𝗲𝗵𝗲𝗁, in the comments for his kindness and generosity. I do appreciate it. So this is, as I mentioned, a replica. This is probably one of the most often cloned knives in the world. You can get these anywhere. I'm not going to put a link anywhere to these. I'm not promoting these in any way. I just wanted to share it because John sent it to me and I thought it was interesting to look at. There's actually some pretty cool features about it. This is a solid steel tank of a knife all the way around in D2 steel. So we're going to take a look at the good, the bad, the ugly. Before we get started, if you would please hit that subscribe and notification bell. Again, it's a way to get into our drawing. You don't have to sit and watch me talk for 2 hours in order to win knives. I just put a list of knives out there in a video and say, here are the knives. Y'all comment below, and then I will simply do a random drawing from all the subscribers that make a comment. I don't care if you call me a dumbass in the comments. That'll get you entered into the contest too, and I'm sure somebody will take me up on that. But you do have to be a subscriber, so if you're not, I would encourage you to do that. Throw me a thumbs up if you got to leave early. That certainly helps out little guys like me. Take a quick peek at the box it came in, which is plain Jane, and that is great. I love it, actually, when these clone replica knives don't try to imitate the packaging. They've obviously imitated the branding, but at least they're not imitating the packaging, which means it's less likely for someone to try to fool or fake someone into buying this for like a lot of money, because the real versions of these knives are not inexpensive at all. So that's pretty cool. Let's do some size comps. Like I said, this is a huge, old, big, beefy, overbuilt knife. I always do the PM2 and the Para 3. Everybody always does PM2 and the Para 3. I think that's just because these knives are so common. You can see this is certainly bigger than both of those knives. I'm not sure what else we even need to compare it to. You know what? Let's just throw up the old 𝗕𝗵𝘁𝗂𝗶𝘰 Vision, and how about the 𝗕𝗏𝗲𝗲 Raccoon? Guess what? Bigger than both of those as well. No shock or surprise there. Let's even look at it in the closed position. In terms of closed position, you can probably guess, right? No surprise there. This thing is clearly way bigger than just about any knife you're going to own. This is one of those big, chunky, overbuilt knives. I will pull up some specs. We'll take a look at these down the right side. 8.62. So it's really not overbuilt to the point where you couldn't even use this knife at all. It's just a big, beefy boy, right? 3.6-inch blade with a 3.6-inch cutting area. The closed length is 4.8 inches, a little bit on the longer side there. Certainly good for all sizes of hands. Blade thickness is not as bad as some of the overbuilt knives out there. 154 thousandths, definitely and obviously thick, and it's just a wedge all the way out there to the tip. Satin finish, compound hollow grind with a tanto tip that actually has a little bit of curve to it. I will tell you, it came nice and sharp, surprisingly. These are all steel scales on this thing, and it says it's in D2 steel. I would imagine that probably is true on the blade. It says, you know, some of these listings will tell you it's a 60 HRC. I have no way to verify that. I haven't even sharpened it or anything, so I have no idea. But, you know, who knows? We'll see. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. The weight on this boy comes in at just a hair under 10 ounces. So you are not going to be, you know, running around in summertime gym shorts with this thing in your pocket, unless you got a good belt on them, I guess. It is a frame lock, but again, because this is all steel frame, it's still steel on steel, so there's no lock bar insert or anything like that. You can buy these in a variety of different places for anywhere from $20 probably to $35. and I don't know if any one is better than any other. I did measure behind the edge because I thought that would be interesting. It is a nice deep hollow grind, and you know what? This thing is 17 thousandths behind the edge. That's pretty darn slicey. We'll do a little cut test on the paper here in just a minute, and you'll see, shockingly, this thing cuts. Maybe it's not shocking. I don't know. Anyhow, let's take a closer look at this thing. This thing is just a tank, right? The pocket clip sits up here on these standoffs. It covers, I'm going to say, about 3/4, maybe 2/3 to 3/4 of the knife. It's massive, just like the rest of the knife. However, it does have a good amount of springiness to it. Certainly sits up high enough that it will go easily in and out of the pocket. However, it's going to be pretty miserable if you're doing any kind of hard cutting test to hold on to that thing. Interestingly, this one doesn't have a pocket clip. A lanyard hole. This would be normally where they put a hole for the lanyard, and for some reason this one doesn't. I'm going to call that an attitude adjuster out there on the rear end of that. That certainly would adjust someone's attitude pretty quick, but no lanyard hole. So if you were going to put a lanyard, and always it's funny because John is the guy, the guy John Trifire who gave this knife for us to give away. He's the guy who always says he puts lanyards on his knife, and so funny that he gets one without a lanyard hole. That's probably ironic in many ways. Solid steel scales over steel liners. There's nothing milled out inside here on either side. This thing is just a big, thick old tank. T6s, which is really disappointing. On all of these screws, I thought they looked like T8s, but you have to trust me. Actually, they're T7, so it's like those weird Chinese size, because I was able to get a T7 bit into there, but really they're T6s everywhere. You've got these kind of proprietary pivot screws on both sides. I was able to take like 2 T6 bits and tighten this up a little bit. If you just stick them into those holes and really kind of, work it around. I'm sure there's other workarounds. Y'all may have some suggestions on that. I know you can buy, I'll probably AliExpress or Amazon, some kind of special tool that fits those. You just have to measure that distance. But again, I didn't need it. I took 2 little T6 bits and was able to tighten it up just a little bit, and it hasn't come loose. So it is what it is. There you go. The stop pins are these giant, what you would call thumb studs, which are not thumb studs. They are really external stop pins. You can see they lock in right there, here, and they lock in on this side in the closed position. So you got nothing interfering with any kind of sharpening choil in any particular way. Let's see, the finger choil itself is actually functional. Because this knife is so big, you can get a fingertip in there. You're kind of close to that cutting edge, but it angles away enough. I would feel okay with this. Cutting some cardboard, maybe not really hard use up there, but for cutting cardboard to keep it out of that hole right there, I would absolutely cut cardboard like this, I think. So you could certainly do that with it. Deployment is a little tricky on this thing. The detent is light, thank God for that, because you need a light detent. There's no real ridges. This is very rounded out here, maybe difficult to understand or see on both sides. But if you've noticed, I can get my fingertip in there just enough with a little wrist action, usually, to get that thing flipped out. You want to push it one-handed, you can do that by pushing on the back of the blade. Thumb side, you could do the same. I have been able, there you go, to launch that with the thumb a few times. So sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. Just takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of wrist action, but you can, theoretically at least reverse flip and thumb flip this thing. It is what it is. That's what you get. Probably two-handed grip is the way to go with all of that, right? The frame lock is solid. You've got, a good 25-30% lock up there. I'm not going to bang it on this table because it feels like it's going to put a hole in my table and right through this rubber mat. I pounded it on the floor. You can't blade whack this thing out. It's solid, okay? So solid and blade whack, you'll just have to take my word on that. Obviously, we have a nice satin finish compound ground Tanto D2 blade. There's a little bit of a belly right there. So I think actually I'm almost tempted to put this in my cutting test. I bet that would just pop through some sisal rope right there, that big heavy Tanto tip. It is sharp, y'all. Let me get a piece of paper while we're talking about it. Even that Tanto tip, I mean, that's pretty good for a thick Tanto blade, or a thick Tanto tip at least. And then, of course, the hollow ground portion, I mean, that's all day long sharp, y'all. Yeehaw for that. I don't know what else you would want in terms of sharpness from your overbuilt tank of a knife, right? All right, so what else do we say on here? The tip is very thick. I mentioned this earlier. This is like a pry bar. If you're ever going to use a knife for a pry bar, it would probably be this, $20, $25 version of a tank of a knife. That's like a wedge right there. It's about as thick and hard as you're going to get probably in just about any knife tip. The aggressiveness of the jimping is extreme. It's not sharp in as much as it'll cut you running your finger over it, but there is no way in hell I would want to do a lot of hard push cutting with this knife with that jimping like that. It's just overbuilt like the rest of the knife. It's functional, and in this position, choke back. I'm a size large glove in case you're wondering about the size of it all. Certainly larger hands would fit that very comfortably, and again, you could use that choked forward position. This is how probably most people will run with this knife, and that is absolutely usable all day long. You can come back here, get your fingers out of the way, no problem. There's nothing in the cutting path, so it's very functional in terms of the size and being overbuilt. It's actually quite smooth. Believe it or not, this is on washers, not bearings, and there's 2 washers in here. So this uses both bronze and nylon washers. I thought that was interesting. You're going to have a hard time. You're not going to be able to see that at all. Let's see if I can put a light in there even. Yeah, you can only see the kind of the bronze washers and not really the nylon. Anyhow, you have to take my word for it. Bronze and nylon, and very smooth. I mean, like to be on washers, most of the knives I get that are on washers don't come this smooth. Again, if you can flip that out like that, and I think it continues to get smoother. That's pretty good for a big knife like that. So anyhow, kudos to them for that. Action is just okay, like you saw, what you'd expect. It's got, the Medford brand on the front. It's got this little, I don't know what this is. If that's a D, maybe, for the D2. I do know it says D2 here, but I don't know if the real Medfords have that. So, it's a shame that they put the Medford brand on here. But, it's basically a replica of the entire Medford knife as well. So, why not go the extra mile and put the brand on the knife too? It is what it is. These things have been around for a long time. They'll be around long after we're gone. Blade centering actually came pretty nice on this thing. Actually, it looks a little off now. I wonder if I've loosened up the pivot a little bit. But it came pretty good, pretty centered. For a $20 solid tank of a knife, you probably don't expect much more than that. The lockup is absolutely solid. No detent lash, no pivot lash. Let me see, is there a detent lash? Nope, no detent lash either. So all good. You saw the factory sharpening. It was pretty good. I'm going to give that a 10 on the redneck scale for what it is. Ergonomically, it's just a big steel slab with pretty aggressive jimping. It does have the corners knocked down a little bit, but it is what it is. This is not going to be comfortable for all-day use. It's certainly a little too heavy to be your, all-day, everyday EDC carry. We talked about choke back. Not too bad. Pocket clip is pretty bad. You're definitely going to be feeling that. The forward choke up, again, that's not too bad. I could probably do a little cardboard with that. Not a big deal. You've got that tanto secondary tip, so you could easily do drag cuts without having to get all the way up here. So that would be a piece of cake there. It is what it is. Probably jimping's a little aggressive for hard use. Every knife, here's my overall on this thing. Every knife collection needs to have at least one big, beefy, overbuilt knife in your collection, right? Even though you're not going to be carrying and using this thing, it's just fun to have one. When you get your knife box out to show your buddies, they all love all the knives, but they all seem to, for some reason, just really enjoy these big, overbuilt, beefy guys as much or more than anything in your collection. So it's, a very cheap way to have a big, beefy, overbuilt knife, but literally one that you could carry in your pocket. If you just want to, take it to work one day just to have a little fun with the guys, and you pull this out of your pocket and flip that out and show them, maybe cutting a little tie strap or something like that with this big, beefy knife, everybody get a good laugh out of it. And from all of those perspectives, it's a fun knife, if not actually incredibly functional knife. For the $20 to $30 that it is, it's actually fairly well built and well put together. It came pretty darn sharp with that nice hollow grind, thin slicey. It's just a fun knife, right? I'm not really recommending these. I'm not putting out any links to these. You can decide for yourself if this is something you want. However, this actual knife is one that we are giving away in our upcoming 2,500 subscriber giveaway. John, again, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the Tri-Fire, he has donated this to the channel and said, hey, man, listen, give that away in your upcoming giveaway. So there you go. I do different giveaways than probably most channels. Instead of you having to sit and watch me talk to you for like 2 hours without stopping, and then at the end I do some kind of drawing. No, I'm just going to show you all the knives. I'll do a little video that says, okay, here's this knife number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'll tell you what the knives are, and that's the video. And I put it up, and you can watch it at your convenience. And as long as you're a subscriber, you can put any comments you want down there. I'll go over all this again when I actually put out the contest video. Just letting you know, I do it a little easier. It's pretty simple. All you got to be is a subscriber, and I'll do a random drawing. And one of the knives that you can win is this boy right there. But you got to be a subscriber. So if you're not already subscribed, I would invite you down below to hit that subscribe button, notification bell. Certainly helps guys like me. Throw me a thumbs up if you like this kind of content. If this is kind of fun for you, that's all this is intended to be, is just something fun. I'm not trying to take this too serious. I just like having fun. I like sharp, pointy things of all shapes, sizes, colors, and particularly the ones at the lower end of the price range. So throw me a thumbs up if you think this is okay. Feel free to add your comments. I always love hearing from you guys. Otherwise, y'all have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.